Hello, the Pioneer viewers. I hope you're all healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to share with you the latest developments in the Russia-Ukraine war. Amid the ongoing conflict on the territory of Ukraine, today we'll take you behind the scenes of a very remarkable and unusual event. Despite the devastation and hardships of war, the Ukrainian army continues to pull off striking achievements on the ground, both strategically and individually. The latest development is one of the most tangible examples of this success. A Ukrainian soldier acting alone has managed to capture 9 Russian soldiers in an extremely brave move. Yes, you didn't hear me wrong. A lone soldier carried out an operation that will shake the morale of the Russian army and make them question strategic balances. Ukraine is developing different tactics to increase its effectiveness on the ground in the ongoing war, and these tactics often succeed in inflicting serious losses on the opponent. The Russian side continues to be shaken by these unexpected losses. However, such stories of individual heroism are not limited to the military dimension of the war. They're also an important part of the struggle for psychological superiority. For a long time, reports had been circulating that Russian soldiers were suffering from a loss of morale and their motivation to fight was gradually diminishing. However, this incident, which resulted in the capture of 9 soldiers, reveals the seriousness of the situation on the ground. So, what made this success possible? Can such an impressive result by a single soldier be explained by courage and determination? Or are there deeper structural problems affecting the Russian army's performance on the ground? Such events may reveal not only how well organized the Ukrainian army is, but also the operational challenges and strategic weaknesses Russia faces. A closer look at the dynamics behind these individual successes reveals that Ukraine's organizational structure is as big a factor behind such successes as the courage of the soldiers on the ground. Thanks to its advanced communication systems, effective training programs, and quick decision-making mechanisms, the Ukrainian army has gained a remarkable advantage on the ground. On the other hand, increasing casualties and demoralization on the Russian front seem to be negatively affecting the performance and coordination of the troops. Let's take a closer look at this striking story in detail. Before we get to our report, a quick reminder: the Pioneer team is definitely real. None of my team members or me are artificial intelligence. Even though AI is extremely advanced, it's still not as good as us. By the way, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. We do read all the comments you leave on our videos, so please continue to share your ideas about our content. Tell us what content you'd like to see on the Pioneer channel. And now let us begin if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. The ongoing fighting in the Kursk region of Russia has turned not only the front lines but also abandoned buildings into the center of the war. One such building, an old factory installation, became the scene of a strategic struggle between Ukraine and Russia. When Russian reconnaissance units discovered that a factory was being used by Ukrainian troops as a logistics center, the information gave rise to a major operation. However, no one could have foreseen that this operation would turn into an unmitigated disaster. A group of 20 members of the Russian Army's special units mobilized at midnight with a detailed operational plan. The aim was to quietly infiltrate the factory, neutralize the Ukrainian soldiers inside, and return with the captured logistical supplies. Every detail had been meticulously calculated before the operation began, but no plan could have considered the clever traps laid out by the enemy. The first mine laid at the entrance of the building killed 6 soldiers, including the leader of the group. The explosion tore through the darkness and silence of the building, showing how prepared the Ukrainian soldier inside was. The initial shock prompted the Russian soldiers to retreat, but as they advanced further into the building, they realized that deadly traps had been placed at every turn. These traps had been expertly prepared by a young sergeant from a special unit of the Ukrainian army. Realizing the factory building was abandoned, he decided to turn it into a line of defense. The explosive devices placed at the center of the upper floors of the building, the mines triggered by steel cables, and the sniper posts placed in strategic locations were all proof of his intelligence and war strategy. From his observation post on the top floor of the factory, the sergeant watched every move of the Russian soldiers. He had all the devices ready to trigger traps if necessary. It was an example of how one man with the right planning could neutralize a numerically superior force. After the first explosion, only 14 Russian soldiers remained, but their advance through the factory led to more casualties with other ambushes. Improvised explosive devices and devices planted on staircases incapacitated another part of the team. At the end, only 9 soldiers survived. Tired, wounded, and panicked, they realized they couldn't advance any further inside the building. On top of that, sniper fire from Ukrainian soldiers made every step even more dangerous. With their means of communication disabled, the Russian soldiers realized that they had no choice but to surrender. They announced their surrender by waving a white piece of cloth. It was a moment that proved in modern warfare not only physical strength, but also individual strategies are decisive. The Ukrainian sergeant descended from the upper floors of the building to confront the surrendering soldiers and found tired Russian soldiers staring back at him with eyes full of fear. With their weapons on the ground, these soldiers reflected the harsh realities of war. But the sergeant did not take advantage of the situation. He quickly led the surrendering soldiers out and handed them over to the Ukrainian army. This is an example of how courage, determination, and intelligence can make a huge difference. The Ukrainian sergeant not only neutralized the enemy soldiers, but also provided a great morale boost to the Ukrainian army. After this failed operation, the Russian army halted its movements in the area and withdrew to assess its losses. On the Ukrainian front, the victory was widely reported on both national and international media. The young sergeant became a hero of the Ukrainian people, and his story became a symbol of resistance. This event once again demonstrated the importance of individual intelligence and strategy in modern warfare. One person's initiative at the right time had the power to change the course of a war. In Ukraine's difficult struggle, individual success stories become one of the most important pillars of national resistance. What do you think? Do you think individual intelligence and strategy are powerful enough to change the outcome of a war? How was the Ukrainian soldier able to defeat this numerically superior group? Can this event be written in the history of warfare as a moral turning point? Let us know in the comments. We read and care about your points of view.